what's up? It's Sean Baligian.
What up? This is Joyce Bell here on the Baligian and Bell Show.
Make sure you check us out on the Woodward Sports Network. So what is up? Glad you could join us on a Monday morning here on Woodward Sports. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Our boy, Joyce Bell, not in today, but we are always very happy to have the one, the only, Terry Foster.
That's right. Peace out. What's up, everybody?
How you doing, T?
I'm fine.
Good weekend?
Yeah, watch a lot of college basketball and watch the tournament show and got response. I always get my first response from Michigan State from my wife. She was pissed off, and I just say, "Honey, they deserved an 11 seed."
Yep.
I'm sorry.
100%.
Yeah. So I thought they would get a 10. But when you look at who's in the 10, two of the teams, Rutgers and Maryland. Rutgers finished ahead of Michigan State. Maryland beat them by double digits twice down the stretch when Michigan State was having its quote-unquote run. So you couldn't put them ahead of those guys. So, but, I'm fine. I think the committee with Michigan State said two things. One, we don't want to put them in a position where some 3 or 4 seed who worked their ass off to become a 3 or 4 seed is going to play Michigan State in the first round. That's not fair to them. And then the second thing is we got to reward them for their victories, but we have to punish them for all those losses. And Michigan State was just in a sticky situation. That was a odd addition to where you put them in, and I think they got it right.
It's interesting because we talked about it in Thursday and Friday of last week, and some people are like, well, why are you causing panic? It was, Terry, this was going to be close. But I agree with you. I think they got it right. But it was, to the people that, they're in, don't worry about it. They're in, they shouldn't be a play-in game. It was tight for the reasons that you mentioned. I thought Maryland in particular, if I'm Maryland, I'm sitting back going, why is everybody talking about Michigan State? Look what we just did to them twice in 11 days.
But people who said they aren't in the tournament were right, and those who said they are in the tournament are right. I don't think you're in the tournament until 64 teams, even though they've expanded to 68, but both sides are kind of right with Michigan State.
What made it interesting is Georgetown going on that miraculous run that they did. And, I mean, look, they meandered their way through the season. There's no other way to say that.
And Oregon State.
And that's when you start to worry, Terry.
Yeah.
That's when you start those are two teams that weren't supposed to be in. So what does that do to a team like Michigan State that's already right there? That's the worry that I think one of my buddies texted me. He's God bless him, but he's total doom and gloom guy. And he texted me like 10 minutes before the show. He goes, "Dude, they're not getting in. They're not." I was like, "I think they're going to get." No, not after Oregon State, not after Georgetown. They're not getting in and everything. So, does it mean something to keep the streak alive? Absolutely, it does. Right. Absolutely, it does.
And are they going to the Final Four? No. But you never know with that team. You never know what time is. But, they could play, let me see, all the alphabets, UCLA, BYU, and LSU to get to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Now, when you do that, you're not having one of the blue bloods stand in the way of Michigan State in the first or second round. So I think the committee protected other teams. Like if you're Virginia, do you want to play Michigan State in the first round? No. If you're going to play them in the Elite Eight or the Final Four or Sweet 16, but you don't want to play them in the first or second round because you've worked so hard to avoid the marquee names until later on. Then you stick me with this team in the first round. That's not right. BYU, I'm sorry, you deserve Michigan State.
Yeah.
You're not great, and you didn't win your conference, which only has one team in it.
Well, and that's, to me, Terry, I think you hit the nail on top of the head. It's like, okay, and that's why, to me, I've always been you have to look at both sides of it. All right, everybody was talking about Michigan State's big win, but you have to talk about how they got clobbered a lot this year. So both things have to be brought up in this conversation.
When we praised Michigan State for beating Iowa and Michigan and Ohio State and Illinois, within that, they had lost double digits to Maryland twice.
Yep.
And they lost to Michigan, and there was another loss that I'm.
Yeah, right off the top of my head.
Right
They got clobbered. No doubt about it. So, it's weird the schedule, how it configures itself this year. The Thursday Saturday thing. Thursday Saturday has always been traditionally for guys like Key and I that have been watching this tournament forever. That's always been, the first round, the second round.
Yes.
But that's the way it is.
But are we going to stay up Monday night and watch games? Yes.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
It's a non-traditional year because of COVID and shutdowns and all kinds of stuff. So I expect things to be weird.
You know what I always have to bring up, and I don't know how many of you guys out there have to deal with this, but Terry, this is like a yearly conversation I have with my son because he and his buddies were watching in Chicago, and we're texting each other, during the selection show and everything. And he told me, he goes, I was just telling, the guys that he lives with about how you and your boys in the neighborhood used to do it. Many years ago, kids, this thing called the internet didn't exist.
Oh, look at you lecturing the youngsters
yes,
out there.
It didn't. Terry, I don't know if you guys did this in your neighborhood. My son has always been fascinated by this. So I'll use Fish. You need to write down the West region. That is your job. When this show happens, the kid that lives 3 houses down from me, Fish, you have the West region. Art, you have the East region. No, Art, don't shake your head at me. You have one job
there's
to
no
do.
internet, brother. You have to.
You have one job to do. You have to write the East. Terry and I would do the other regions.
Can I ask, what is a pen and paper? It's this thing that I don't know exists.
Right?
So back in the day, there was no that's how they had to do it.
100%. You could because and Terry, you know this from being in the newspaper world. Maybe you got the full bracket in the morning edition of the Free Press. Maybe. But you knew by the afternoon, when the afternoon news came out, and I got to open up my paper and read the latest from Terry Foster, you knew the afternoon edition had the full bracket up there.
Right. And here's the problem with people like Art and Fish over here. It seemed like they did the brackets a lot quicker back then. So you had to be scribbling real fast. And then when you get Terry's East bracket, you're like, what did he write down? I don't even know what he wrote down. Is this UCLA or is this Purdue? I don't know.
It is. So, when you think about it, and then the local news shows at night would maybe put the bracket up like one big bracket picture, but then they always would put, okay, Central Michigan got in as the MAC champion, so they show who Central was playing, who Michigan State was playing, who Michigan was playing, and that was it.
Yep.
So if you were one of those guys that you were really intrigued by, who's Patrick Ewing in Georgetown going to play this weekend, right? You better not screw up that East bracket, Fish, because there are going to be 3 other guys that are pissed at you for not writing that down. It's fascinating how it's changed.
And by the way, we used to have it where we would get Michigan, Michigan State, Central Michigan, and maybe Western Michigan.
Yep.
And back in the day. That's how old I am. I remember that.
Well, it was funny because I explained to my son, he goes to DePaul, and Terry, you know this, DePaul was a basketball power.
Absolutely.
And like I said to him, I have one of those sports calendars, and they were talking, what happened 40 years ago yesterday, number 1 ranked and number 1 seed DePaul got knocked off in the tournament. Mm-hmm. And I sent that to him, and he said, Dad, it's such a nothing here now.
Now, does your son, he doesn't know who Ray Myers is.
He did not know who Ray Myers was.
You
I
educated
had
him.
to educate him.
Now, does he know who Terry Cummings and Mark Aguirre are?
He is taken it upon himself to educate himself on the history of DePaul. So now I think it was funny. I think I told you this. It was his second day at school, and he calls me and he goes, hey, Dad, they have a statue of that Ray Meyer guy. And I go, yeah, that Ray Meyer guy, huh? That Ray Meyer guy. But then, Terry, when you think about it, here's a kid that was born in 1999. Ray Meyer's last year was 1984.
Right.
Why on earth would he know who the guy is? Because DePaul's been such a nothing in basketball for so many years.
That's true. They just don't count anymore. But, yeah, we used to be, if DePaul was on, got to watch this.
Yeah.
No matter who they're playing.
Yeah, it is amazing how it has changed so much, especially Terry, I was little, but I remember it. I mean, Michigan State, Indiana. I mean, so many people look at that and say, look, that's what that was the spark. That was the spark. I don't know how big it was before then. I don't remember. I mean, that's pretty much the depth of my memory. But
it wasn't that big.
Sure.
And you know what? It was big on the East Coast. Like the, Georgetown and
St. John.
Yeah. All the schools in Philadelphia and around New York. It was just a huge deal. And the rest of us are like, whatever, dude. But then Magic and Bird, the rest of the country, like, okay, let's get involved in this. And here's the other thing people forget: when UCLA won all those championships, there's only 24 teams in the fields a lot of times.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah,
and you, all the strong teams are out east. UCLA played all the West Coast teams, and then they wouldn't play their first good team until they got into the finals.
Think about that, though. I mean, it's so funny when you think about that Final Four. Listen to the names of the schools in that Final Four where Michigan State won in '79. Basketball powerhouse Indiana State, Penn,
that's right,
and DePaul.
Right.
I mean, that's the final. I mean, think about that today. Jaws would be dropped all over the nation.
Well, that had to be the end of Penn because I think Michigan State beat them 100-63 or something ridiculous like that.
Absurd like that. Yeah, I remember that. No, it's funny how it works. We're going to talk more about the tournament. Obviously, Michigan's a number one seed. They deserve to be a number one seed. I got to be honest with you. It's kind of funny watching the other guy sweat it out a little bit. A lot of friends that I know that are Michigan fans were going, they're not going to get a number one seed. I'm like, you're going to get a number one seed.
Well, they saved the best for last. Well, they saved them for last. So people were worried about, okay, are they going to be a number one seed or not? Because I see 3 of them up there. I don't see the 4th one up there. And finally,
biggest question is, can Michigan win it all? And that's something that we're going to get into. I'm going to ask Terry about that. I think, I said it 100 times during the course of the season. For Michigan fans, it almost seemed to me, Terry, that Michigan fans in mass weren't embracing this team, and it didn't make sense to me. Of course, now everybody's a big Michigan fan because the tournament, of course, is getting started. Don't go anywhere. He's Terry Foster. I'm Sean Baligian. So glad you could join us on a Monday morning right here on Woodward Sports.
Hey, it's Joey from Woodward Sports, and I am here in downtown Fenton at Bridge Street Exchange. This place has so many amazing things for guys and ladies. This is the hidden spot that you got to come check out. I'm talking Thorogood boots, best boots ever. They have barware. They got the Stormy Cromer hats. They got Carhartt hats, a huge Carhartt selection. They even got Snoop Dogg underwear. So go check them out, bridgestreetexchange.com, and use the code word WSN for 15% off.
So what's up? Glad you could join us wherever you may be on a Monday morning. A lot of tournament talk, and Terry, let's get it out right now. Can Michigan State win it? Or Michigan State?
Michigan. You sound like one of those national guys. I always confuse the two.
Coach D'Antoni?
Yes. No, I'm going to say they cannot. Unless they need some type of magic, because I think the loss of Isaiah Livers is pretty big. When you look at Michigan's basketball team, there are so many moving parts that if Livers is having an off day, then Wagner can pick up the slack. You know what you're going to get from Hunter Dickinson, and Mike Smith is a fine point guard, but I think I need to see a little bit more from him. But I think they could, if all the moving parts are now perfect now. They didn't have to be perfect before, but now with the Livers out, all the rest of the parts have to be out. My thought process is this: Hunter Dickinson needs to be Bill Walton.
Yep.
From the standpoint where he's unstoppable inside. Bill Walton, when he won the '73 championship for UCLA, was 21 of 22 in the championship game for 44 points. Now, you never expect that to happen again, but you need him to be dominant inside. I think you need Franz Wagner to be their mini Glenn Rice. And I think Mike Smith, he needs to be like Cassius Winston, where these guys made magical plays. They were consistent game in and game out. And if one of them were to fail for one game, that would be it, because Isaiah Livers is out. Now, one thing I am counting on is that teams haven't scouted Dickinson the way that the Big Ten teams have. For instance, Dickinson, he's not good when he goes baseline. He short arms the ball, he gets a little nervous, and a lot of his shots either get wedged in the crack of the rim, or they fall short. There's just something about that's something he needs to develop. He needs to become Tim Duncan when it comes to bank shots. But when he gets the inside, or he's in the paint, dude's unstoppable. He has a little baby hook, a little flop shot. So my guess is that teams are going to give him that until they figure it out. Okay, we haven't seen him play every week. That's his strength. And but they'll start to overplay the paint and force him inside, and then he won't be as good. So that's one thing. Wagner is a guy that I think is capable of being very dangerous offensively. He can shoot the ball. He's not consistent, but he didn't have to be because of Isaiah Livers. Now he has to be consistent. Now he has to hit those three-pointers on a more consistent basis. He needs to raise his shooting percentage. So that's two. And Mike Smith, you can say this guy has been a very important glue for this team, but now he needs to do more. He needs to be like Cassius Winston, who, when Michigan State made the Final Four a couple years ago, seemed to hit every three. Cassius Winston, who would disappear amongst the trees and either flip some impossible shot in the basket or get it to Dickinson. So he needs to up his game. And I know Juwan Howard said, well, it's next man up. No, I think they got the men that can carry them to the Final Four. But the problem is now they have to be lights out every game, which is impossible.
You got it. Well, and Terry, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times, and this is years of watching this tournament, and I think you'll agree. The crazy thing about this tournament is the amount of times that the best team hasn't won it. I mean, seriously, it's a tournament. A lot of it depends on what kind of road is in front of you. A lot of it depends on, who can make it through 6 games. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And so it's funny because a few months ago when it started, this Michigan team is legitimate. If you didn't realize it a few months ago, you weren't paying attention. You always hear people say, can they win it all? Well, yeah, they can win it all. So can about 12 other teams.
Right.
We've seen it time. And, I always joke, I went to 2 Final Fours where UConn was kind of an afterthought. 2 different Final Fours, and UConn ended up winning it all.
Right.
Everything just kind of, went into place, went into order. UConn ends up as the champion, and I think when you take Livers out, that's a huge dagger for a team that already one of the best, absolutely. But I've seen it time and time again. A tournament is something different. That single elimination is just something different.
Yeah, it is, and I hate cliches, but I'm going to throw one out. It's just one game at a time, and that's really true. And you can't go in thinking, okay, who are we facing in the Sweet 16? You can't go in thinking about Sweet 16. You can only think about that one team in front of you.
Truth.
Then you kick their ass, and then you can only think about, okay, who's next? You got to be laser focused.
Survive in advance.
Right.
That's. I know that's been a mantra up at Michigan State. Survive in advance.
I've seen teams think ahead, and all of a sudden it's like, how come Michigan State's losing to Weber State? That happens when you think, okay, I'm so good, we're just gonna, or Middle Tennessee. How does that happen?
Yeah.
Because you're thinking ahead, and this other team is like, all right, this is our opportunity to show the world. Middle Tennessee or Weber State, we're not just the basketball team. We got good athletes on this team. And so let's be the big boy. And that's what happens.
You know, it's funny because Stick was in here earlier, and Stick and Terry were talking before the show started and everything. And Terry, I had to laugh. I wanted to save this for air, but Stick asked you what your Final Four was. And I don't know if you saw when you guys were having the conversation. I just kind of giggled, right?
You were giggling.
Yeah, and there's a reason why I giggled. We'll tell you that conversation when we come back. And now, I also have to come correct a little bit. I was giggling, but at the same time, did I quickly blow through a bracket yesterday? I did. But it's not my official one, damn it. We'll tell you what Terry said and why he said it when we come back. Don't go anywhere. So glad you could join us wherever you may be. It's Woodward Sports on a Monday morning. Hey, what's up? Sean Baligian here, and if you want to start a new career in an industry that is always essential, the heating and cooling industry, you can learn more today simply by visiting northwesterntech.edu. So Stick is in here after the morning show, and if you haven't checked out the morning show yet, shame on you. Check out the morning show.
They're fun guys.
Make it a part of your morning every single day. They're definitely fun guys. But he asked you who you had in your Final Four, and I kind of gave out a giggle because maybe you and I are I don't want to call us the old guys. We're the veterans. We're the veterans. So what was
You're
your
a veteran.
answer?
I'm an old guy. How about that?
I don't know, dude. I'm pretty old. But what was your answer? Yeah, because it literally made me giggle.
I can't even remember now. I just said no. I don't have one. Nope.
No. There's too many. We have playing games. We don't know who's going to play who. Now, in fairness, did I do the annual exercise of quickly blowing through one online yesterday? Of course I did. But that's not my official bracket that metamorphoses me into bracket guy, as we've talked about. Like all of a sudden, Terry has all the answers, or I have all the answers, or Fish has all the answers. I did it just to see how. I basically did it by the chalk yesterday for the most part, pulling, a couple different, okay, this 11 seed's going to win because an 11 seed always seems to win, and things like. I did one yesterday just for craps and giggles. But no, I'm with you. I'm not doing.
I don't see. I don't do brackets a lot of times. I just don't do them. I just watch the games, enjoy them, and just move on. Now my fear is when I go out in public, who am I going to run into? Frickin' bracket guy. He's going to pull up his little sheet. Hey, T, I got 13 of the first 15 right. Here's my Final Four. And I just look at him and say, I don't care. Just do your stuff and leave me out of this.
You and I both used to live in a world where Thursday and Friday, this particular time of year, meant that at some point in time during the day, whether it be at 12:30, whether it be at 2:30, whether it be at 7 o'clock at night, you would have Mr. Big Voice for whatever radio station you were working for at that time say, come join Terry Foster tonight at 7 o'clock. He'll have his bracket, beer specials tonight, and watch the tournament. There's no place to watch the tournament like the Art of Combat Bar. Terry Foster, live tonight from 7 to 9. Watch the tournament with Terry. We lived that life. We both did. We're like, seriously, I mean, and don't get me wrong, if you want to pay me to hang out your bar for a couple hours.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. But the downside to that is the second that Terry walked in, or I walked in, whoever walked in, you were besieged with guys that had a sheet of paper in their hand. And you know damn well what was on that sheet of paper.
Yep.
It was their bracket. They had to not talk about, Terry, who do you think's going to be there? They had to tell you because they knew. They knew who was going to be there there on their
They're going to
bracket.
tell you what's happening.
Yes. Yes. Corey said, bracket guy will find you both. Oh, no question about it. You can try to run from. I might be at a hockey game tomorrow, and somebody's going to bring a bracket.
Oh, you know what? You know what? You know what's good about the pandemic? When you put the mask on, sometimes people can't recognize you, and so bracket that guy's not going to come up and say, "Hey, Sean, look what I got." Yes, I don't even know that's you.
I had no idea. See, now you understand why it worked for the Lone Ranger and Batman, right? You have no idea. I could be Bruce Wayne. You don't know that at that point in time. Look at poor Art. You
still raising your damn hand
so well. I see Art in the background shoot his hand up, and it's like, Joy should be. He did train you.
I don't like it, but I'm doing it. Here's the thing. I feel like you could be the bracket guy if you've had a perfect bracket. Otherwise, stop talking about it. How many people in the world of brackets have had an absolutely perfect bracket? Exactly. So I feel like keep your bracket, hold your cards close, don't tell anyone, keep it to yourself. If you win big, you could kind of, flaunt about it.
Do people still in the workplace, is that still a thing? Well, I haven't been in a workplace in so long.
Yeah, it is still a thing.
Really?
But this year, brackets are going to be down about 8 to 10%. Because not as many people are in the office now. So that pool is going to go down, but people are going to gamble on the NCAA tournament because that's what people do. So now you have to find alternative ways to do it. It's not going to happen in the office. It's going to happen in the street, or who knows? Who the hell knows? People find a way to gamble.
It is a mutual friend of ours in the radio business, one Mike Stone. Maybe you've heard of him. He has had a bracket, and I just remember how big the bracket was. Do you remember he used to send out that email? I don't know if you ever got in it, but you couldn't believe how many names were on there. It was insane how many people were in this bracket.
I never was in his bracket thing.
Never?
Challenge.
Nope.
Nope. I just don't do them. I do them infrequently.
Did you do it with your kids? Because that's always my son and I always do one just for fun.
Because they're not into it either.
Really?
So I don't force them.
Yeah.
So we just kind of watch the games, root for whoever they like, and then just move on.
I love that first 2 days of the tournament, though. It's just, I'm sorry. It's just, because it just doesn't it always seem, and maybe this is just my revisionist history, doesn't it always seem like there's that game at one of the early tip-offs that, holy crap, did you see that 12 seed? How the hell did that 12 beat? When occasionally you get a 13
or even if they're within 3 points.
Yes.
Like when the game is going, oh man, I gotta watch this.
Isn't it beautiful?
It always happens. But when you talk to the smaller schools, they say the reason that happens is because they're not playing on the other team's floor. They don't have to deal with the other team's refs. Things are more even because they're playing on the neutral floor with neutral refs, and that we have a shot against these quote-unquote big boys.
Yeah, listen, don't shoot the messenger here. I've confessed to you guys. I mean, I'm not that guy. So if you want to run up to me with your bracket, my sports plate is really full this time of year. So I am not the guy. I'm not going to be able to break down Mount St. Mary's for you. Sorry, I don't know. What do you think about Mount St. Mary's? I don't have a fucking clue.
Quality ball club. That's all I'll say. They're in the tournament. Anything can happen.
We should almost make.
How come we never see bracket guy when the Final Four for football is out? Hey, I got Alabama beating Ohio State and LSU beating Clemson. You never see that guy.
No, never. It's amazing. You know what? It really is. And when you're in a workplace, which I think a majority of people aren't if you're watching this show, it is hysterical to me. The only conversation you might have with somebody during the course of the year, that person that works down the hall, is when he's running down the hall with his bracket going, I told you, I've been talking up Marshall for 2 months. Shut up.
And you never heard them even bring it up.
Stop it. Knock it off.
But I feel...
No, hold on.
Oh, sorry. Oh, did you just join Bell?
I wanted you to show people what you were doing. I wanted you to look at it. You don't have to do that with Terry and I.
Yeah, remember, I'm blissful.
You are blissful,
raise your
Terry
hand.
Foster.
Blissful.
Yeah, and Jerky Joik Bell. Here's my thing. I feel like bracket guy goes away after the Sweet 16, right? Because
Yes.
most of their brackets are crap.
Yes.
So you only have a little bit longer. You guys are going to make it. Your take of, wow, it's a great college ball team. I don't know what's going to happen. I feel like that shuts them down. You got until the Sweet 16. You just got to force your way through it. You're going to be all right. I believe in you guys.
Or you just say, oh, that's nice, and you move on. Don't
You
engage.
look so earnest when you said
don't
it, too.
engage them like, oh, really? Tell me what's going to happen in the next round. Oh, I'm really interested. No, you just say, that's nice.
I love the guy at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday. Oh, that's it. My bracket's busted.
Yeah, I'm done.
That's it. See you next year.
And
Fish.
they're so pissed.
Look at Fish is even raising his hand. Wow. Hi, Fish. Let's head to the aquarium. Here's Fish.
All right, Terry, you're going to love this. If college football goes to 8 teams, there's bracket guy.
You're right. You know what? And I am a guy that wants 8 teams in college football. However, if it means bracket guys coming up, maybe I don't want that.
Yeah. 8 teams is.
I changed my mind.
Terry, I say this once, I say it 10,000 times. I've watched up close and personal how the Division II college football playoff works, and it's awesome. And there's no reason why you can't replicate something like that in Division I. And it's funny because in times gone by, I've heard people say, well, you can't do something like that. It's not fair to the student athlete. And first of all, let's drop that whole student athlete crap. Let's just once and for all, you're not fooling anybody. And I guess my second point to that would be, so are you saying that the D1 athlete is more important than the D2 athlete?
Or you can do it in basketball, but you can't do it in football.
Yeah.
Here's the major flaw in that. Well, they'll lose too much time, and most of the playoff in football is during breaks.
Yep.
They're not even in school.
Yep.
So I don't believe in that. And you know who did? He went through that whole thing. Wayne State.
Yep.
They seemed to survive. They went all the way to the Division II finals, and they lost to
Pittsburgh State.
Pittsburgh State.
Yep.
Yeah.
Phenomenal run. Every game on the road, Terry.
Right.
Going into a place going, oh, it's such a cute little story. Let me pinch those cheeks. What a great story for Detroit. And then they got their ass whooped.
Yeah,
I mean,
they did.
really. I mean,
Yeah,
that's...
they were whooping ass. They weren't beating people. They were whooping some ass.
They were whooping some ass. I had a front row seat for it. It was so much fun. But it was a real eye-opener to me, Terry, to see how they did that, including, first round buys for number 1 seeds and just saying, you know what? You have to travel to St. Cloud. You have to travel to Winston-Salem, Minnesota, Duluth.
You know what I like about that
Beautiful.
run? I like how I finally went to the finals game and you avoided me. Because I went to what was considered the second best barbecue place in at North Alabama.
Which place did you go to?
We were in Florence, Alabama.
Yeah,
I don't know
well,
the name of it, but
Who can ever forget Florence?
Yeah, it was supposedly the second best, but it was really good.
Was it really? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the mayor showed up.
What day did you get down there? Now we're just having a conversation for 2. Talk
I
amongst
got
yourselves.
down there with the team. I flew with the team.
Did you really? So I must, because I didn't fly with the team. I flew down separately. That's why we didn't see each other.
Bam.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Yeah. I had to fly down like literally the next day because life happened and everything.
You were avoiding me.
You know what? I avoided a lot of things on that trip because we were kind of put in a hotel that was it was the worst hotel I've ever been in. I mean, there's just no one. It's now become a laughing point. Like even the administrators of the school. What had happened? I don't know if you remember this. Again, we're talking amongst ourselves. Just pay no.
Yeah, nobody's listening.
No, listen. Winston-Salem was so convinced that they were going to pound Little Wayne State. They were so convinced that they bought up like 2 different hotels down in Florence, Alabama for next week.
Oh, wow.
So basically what happened is when Wayne State beat Winston-Salem on their own field, there were no hotels. There's like everything was, a lot of people just said, well, I'm going to decide to make the trip anyway. So they put us down at this hotel that I'll never forget it. I'll leave it at that. I'll never forget that hotel. But that was basically the story within the story. And you're a guy that knows a story. Everything about that season, everything about their road you could make it up, like everything. There were so many things that happened along the way.
They even had T-shirts instead of the Road Warriors.
The Road Warriors, yeah.
Absolutely.
We were, Joyke and I talk about this all the time. You probably remember this. The first game, they were playing a passing team from St. Cloud, and they looked like they were about to get their butts kicked. They were down 21-6 like that. Like that, right? And then it started snowing. And when I say it started snowing, there's Michigan snow and there's Minnesota snow. I mean, it was more snow than I've ever seen. Terry, no BS, more snow than I've ever seen in my life. They were done.
So the little Minnesota team wasn't used to the snow?
Done.
Unbelievable.
Done.
Shame on you.
It was and I mean, done. And if you remember, Wayne State had a running back. He ran for 336 yards. Just said, nobody's tackling me today. And then as the game went on, guys started making business decisions. You're right. I'm not going to tackle you today. I'm cold. It's snowy. We're down by 20. So, ole. And he's just running by guys. But it was interesting. And the reason I'm going in depth like this, so many things have to go right. Coming back to so many things have to go right for you in the NCAA tournament. Think about all those great teams that Tom Izzo has had, okay? And some not so great teams. I always go back to the Paul Davis team in 2005. I mean, failure had a name. It was the Paul Davis Michigan State Spartans, right? And then they went off on a run and ended up in the Final Four. But think of all those great teams that Izzo has had, and Terry, one championship. One championship. I mean, that tells you how difficult it is to go win the NCAA tournament.
Well, look at the Big Ten. The Big Ten is either the first or second best conference in the nation. It's most of the time behind the ACC. That was the last championship for the conference. It used to be Indiana would get their little digs in
Every
and
few
win.
years, yeah, it
Every
didn't
few
seem
years,
that way.
Michigan won a national championship. State won one with Magic. So the Big Ten was always peppering, championships. Now it's been 20 years, and the last one was Michigan State. So what's up with this conference?
You know what's beautiful? I see all these people with nice comments about you, Terry. I'm looking at the Facebook comments, and so many people saying, we miss UT. It's great to see you. Donnie, you don't have to miss Terry. Do you know that? He's right there.
That is true.
There he is.
And you can see me and not just hear me.
And he's going to be here every Monday for the foreseeable future, and he's going to be in on the morning show on Thursdays, and he even graces us with his presence for a little bit on Thursday as well. And,
that's right. Well, they're going to kick me out at some point, but for now, this is the way it is.
Both Art and I are shaking our head.
I'll tell you what, you could come here every day as long as Joyke isn't here. Every day. I'd love to have you here every day, Terry, because it's one less day without Joyke Bell.
All right.
Why are you doing this to yourself? You know this is all be reported to Joyke.
Because you know what? At this point, I don't care. I work harder than Joyke. So you know what? I'm here more. I put in more work, and I want blissful Terry Foster here Monday through Friday.
You know what you're going to need? You're going to need a taser. Because that man's going to come after you.
My words are going to hurt him so much he's going to hurt me.
He might.
I think Grammy Lammy's going to switch allegiances after that.
I'm just being honest. I'm bullied, and I'm sick of being bullied. And you know what? Terry Foster doesn't bully me. Terry Foster's been great.
You know what you need to do? Call Joyke Honey Bun. That throws him off.
All I'm waiting for is a personal nickname from Terry Foster, and Joyke is, I don't even know who that is anymore. Give it time.
So Donnie and everybody else out there with the kind words, we're very happy to have Terry here, and we hope that he sticks around for a while and does even more around here, Terry. That's my personal request to you.
That may happen. We'll see. I'm just enjoying my little time coming in, visiting you guys a couple days a week, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It gets me out of the house, gets me out of my basement, gets me out of trolling people on Twitter, so I'm enjoying myself here.
Good.
I like going places where I'm the biggest asshole and everybody else is nicer than me. I guess, except for Joyke, I guess. I don't know. He seems all right to me.
You got a long ways to go to get to Joyke's level.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, so how is this all going to work out? I'm going to tie it into something I've been seeing up close and personal the last couple of months. But Terry posed a very good question. I have a barbecue scenario that I have to throw at you as well. If you guys didn't know this, T. Foster is a big smoke guy as well. You know what? We'd love to have him in one day on the Smoke Show as well. And Terry, again, April 17th, keep it open. If you can make it over, we're having a big barbecue at my house. I want to tell you about Grow Green, the country's largest hydro store, buys in bulk and passes the savings on to you, the growers. Looking for soil? They have over 1,000 pallets in stock, including ProMix, Dairy Dew, Roots Organics, and Fox Farm, all at the lowest prices in the state. Check out their dank deals for insane deals, like bags of Ocean Forest for just $8 and gallons of Turpinator for just $50. Mention the show for a free t-shirt. Click growgreenmi.com. So is the bubble going to work? Can we define work? We'll try to do that when we come back. He's Terry Foster. I'm Sean Baligian. So glad you could join us. It's a Monday morning right here on Woodward Sports.
Welcome to Crumble Cookies. It is Joey from Woodward Sports, and this is my new favorite spot where I like to spend my time because they have the best cookies I've ever had in my entire life, and you won't regret coming here and trying them. Located off of Rochester Road, right next to the Imagine Theaters in Rochester Hills, it's Crumble Cookies. Come try these delicious cookies. They even got their own app. They got curbside pickup. They got delivery. You won't regret it. Just come try for yourself. You'll thank me later. I promise.
The things that pop up during breaks. Now there was a debate. Art, seriously? Joik is a bully. No, Art is a bully. No, Joik is the bully. No, Art is the bully.
That's what's happening in the
You're accused of being a bully.
That's what's happening in the comments?
I'm just telling you right now.
I don't understand if physically how I could be a bully. Let's be honest. Oh, there goes.
But you know how you can be a bully? You can be a verbal bully because you talk fast, you have snappy little answers, and you just don't give a shit.
Here's the thing, I'm sticking up for myself. This all started because he lost to me in Call of Duty. I put that in the past, but what I will not put in the past is the fact that I'm just bullied here when I'm just trying to do my best. Sean, comment? You okay?
Come on, look at the professor over here.
You said, Terry, you're snappy. That Art, you kill me. That's exactly like that. If I'm getting in a verbal joust with you, you drop a couple of those and I go, dude, it's over.
I'm just going
to go like this.
Here's the thing, though. Terry, I met you just a couple weeks ago. Never knew you. You didn't know me. We've gotten along great because you're not a jerk to me. You're not Joiky Jerk. Joiky Jerk at the jerky station wants
Joiky
to just...
Jerk.
Yeah, he just wants to
Jerky
sit
Joik.
in that seat and he wants to be a jerk. And I'm sorry. I'm not getting... Listen, I could get a touchdown for the Lions, too. And then can I be a bully to everyone? I don't get it.
But can you do this?
Yeah.
Wait,
Hey,
ho,
I'm Joy
hey,
Bill.
ho.
I'm Joy Bill. Okay, now I can buy Bitcoin and be a jerk to everyone. I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Yeah, you're an amazing human, dude. You really are. You're an amazing
Mondays are my favorite day, and I love you both.
Okay. So, Terry, you asked the question, is the March Madness bubble going to work? And there's reason to believe it'll work, but I think the biggest question is can we define work? And if you're one of those people that think it's going to go off without a hitch, I'm not so sure that's going to be the case. I hope it's the case.
I think if we have a hitch, it's going to be early. Mm-hmm. It's going to be teams that are coming in already have COVID within their, within their system. But if they can get through this first weekend, I think they're going to be, in. Everybody's going to be in Indy, except they're playing games at Purdue and Butler. And,
yep.
Yeah. So, but I think if you stay in and eat the food from the hotel and not go out. Because, Indy, if you go out, it's a little sleepy time, but you can get into some trouble in Indy.
Yeah, it is. You know what, Terry? And it's funny because people might remember it's not that long ago in the rear view mirror that we here at Woodward Sports, and I was involved with it even longer than that, we're doing the let them play thing. And if you recall, so many people were not just against it, but adamantly against it. Right. And I think what bothered me the most about it is a lot of what people were saying wasn't based in science as opposed to fear. And there has been some fear mongering. And again, I want to say COVID's real. COVID's very real. I'm not one of those people. But, Terry, it was interesting because, look, it wasn't going to go off without a hitch. I don't think there was one person who was advocating for the young athletes out there from the MHSAA that said, oh, no, everything's going to be. Look, some teams have had to shut down.
Sure.
Some teams have had to shut down for 14 days, for longer periods of time, okay? But the drawback was, and this is what people always came back to, is we don't need this to flare up again in our community. We don't want to see the spikes come back. Well, we're about 2 months in, and you know what? You haven't seen it. It's not there. It hasn't happened. These young athletes, which people like I were screaming because the guys in the fall did it, were very responsible. And you know what? They've also taken the chance that, look, for example, the hockey playoff start. You might be out. Not because your opponent from Terry Reginald Foster High School beat you, but because you have COVID. We saw it happen in football. We saw it happen during the regular season.
Or your opponent has COVID.
Exactly.
Right.
So you might be out. But to me, it was always give these kids a chance to play. They know what the concerns are. Okay? They know if they screw up, it could be the end of their season. And everybody pointing the finger. But in the interest of being fair here, this is not a political statement. All the doom and gloom that people talked about happening when basketball started, when hockey started, when the winter sports started, we haven't seen it. There isn't a spike. There isn't, flare-ups in different areas and everything. Now, part of that could be that people are getting their vaccinations and everything, and I'm all for that. And again, be smart, social distance, wear your mask, all those things. But all those things that we were told that we should all be worried about haven't happened for the winter sports.
But what you've seen teams shut it down for 2 weeks. You've seen teams play anywhere from 18 to 27 games.
Exactly.
So it hasn't been flawless.
No.
But for the most part, we know who the best 68 teams are. And if we're debating maybe the last 3 or 4 teams, but we know who the number 1, 2, and 3 seeds. Even if you don't believe Michigan is the number 1 seed, then they should be a number 2 seed. So we've got it down right. And plus, the country needs this. People are moping around. They've been shut in. Last night they had the Grammys. People were needed their music, and they were so appreciative of having that show. The people need this tournament because you didn't have it last year. You didn't have the conference tournaments last year. But now we're entertained. We can root for our team. We can carry our little brackets around and all that kind of crap. So America needs this.
I agree.
Yeah, you know what I need? I need opening day. I need opening day for the Tigers, please. And it can't be 1,000 people in this stupid stadium.
Terry, I don't know if you saw it yesterday. I tweeted out. I went for a walk yesterday afternoon. That's what old people do now. We take walks. Mm-hmm. And it was, it was one of those days where it wasn't very warm, but it wasn't bad. You know, with the sun out, it wasn't bad. And I just started daydreaming about being at the park and sitting up in the mezzanine. For years, my son and I had tickets up in the mezzanine. We moved downstairs down the first baseline the last couple of years we had tickets. But I love the mezzanine. It's a great view of the stadium. And I even tweeted that out. I said, just a month from now, can I please sit in the mezzanine? And I promise I won't complain too much because it's too cold. A day just like today, I'll bundle up. Right. I won't complain too much. I miss that park. I mean, it's amazing how many, little things. That's one thing that's like front and center. And I just miss going to the damn ball game, man. I really do.
I want to be in right field with the little bar that they have out there. They got it's not deck chairs, but they got those wicker chairs out there and stuff like that. And just chill out, hang, meet people, talk bullshit, and have a good time. Yeah, that's all I want. Yeah. I don't ask for much in life. Like I don't want to be shot to Mars. I don't want to do that. I don't need caviar for dinner or what else, tomahawk steaks. I don't need fine clothes and stuff like that. Just give me a day at the ballpark, day in the stadium, and give me the NCAA tournament. I don't even have to go to games. Just make sure my TVs are working, and that's all I need.
I'll throw in a smoker for you. I
Okay.
know you probably want a smoker. That's my guess. You probably want a smoker.
I
Smoke your
have a
ribs?
smoker.
Yes.
I set it on fire, but it still works.
Hopefully that's the case. It's 20% obviously in Chicago. Cubs and White Sox games. Right now, it's 1,000 people for Comerica Park.
Which is 2.4%. What kind of sense does that make?
I don't know what the
I
science
can go to
behind
an
it is,
indoor
but
restaurant, 50%. I can go to Little Caesars, and they can have 1,000 there. But then I'm going to big ass Comerica Park, outdoors, 40,000 seats, but we can only let 1,000 in. Somebody think.
I'm glad I'm not the only guy that asked those questions, because I'm sick and tired of being told I'm mean. It's just, where's the science? Just explain it to me. That's all I'm asking for. Explain the logic of decisions like that. And if everything is predicated by science, explain the science to me. I'm not being a jerk asking that.
This
am
is
I?
not Dr. Fauci. This is Dr. Foolhead or something. This is some other doctor. I have no idea.
I don't get it.
Why we're doing this.
I
And didn't they tell you
hopefully it
that
changes soon.
you're better off outdoors? That's what I heard.
That's
But now, 2.4%.
Well, you know what? I'm going to keep hope alive that, I heard on my way in this morning that they're going to use Ford Field as a vaccination site, and they're hoping to get, 6,000 shots a day out there. And hopefully, I guess in concert with other people going and getting shots. I told you last week, my doctor and I talked about it. I'm going to the doctor next week. I'm going to get the shot. I was kind of on the fence
Yeah,
about
because
it.
you were saying you thought you weren't going to get it.
Yeah, I was on the fence about it. I'm going to get it. Why not? If it puts other people at ease, why not?
It puts me at ease.
Okay.
And, we got to get the herd immunity. Mm-hmm. And the thing that confused me, some people were they were okay with getting herd immunity by everyone getting sick and then having herd immunity. But they were against everybody taking a shot and achieving the same thing. I just didn't get that. That didn't make sense to me.
I'm with you there. Kind of Florida's living that a little bit, aren't they? I mean, things are going well in Florida because I think everybody had it at one point in time because it's been so open. Steve, who is our resident Pennsylvanian, said, I think PNC Park is 6,600. 20% outdoors doesn't make a ton of sense, but the way Pennsylvania is trending, I think that will slowly increase. Not that many people want to see the Pirates, but it would be a good escape. That's my hope. I hope that this state is erred on the side of caution to a fault, in one man's opinion. But I hope after a couple weeks, Terry, they say, you know what, we're gonna ramp it up from 1,000 at Comerica Park to 7,000 or whatever the case.
Maybe they'll do that. Maybe they're just want to see what the public reaction, because a lot of times things are thrown out there to see how the public is going to react. And maybe this is one of maybe people saying, what are you guys doing? They say, okay, yeah, this is a little bit stupid. But if the public accepts it and says, yeah, it's a smart idea, they may stick to 1,000. So everybody bitch about it only being 1,000 people at Comerica Park and they'll change their mind. Guaranteed.
It's okay to have conversation in the world today. Art shaking his head. No, it's okay to ask questions.
No.
It doesn't mean that I hate you. It doesn't mean that I'm a science denier. It doesn't mean that I am denying COVID. All those things are real and exist. But Terry, what's the science behind it? If we've done everything based on science, what's the science behind it?
I have not heard yet.
It's frustrating.
So I'm waiting for that memo to come across my desk.
Lynn said, Sean, please read up on the vaccines before you take it. I know, you know what, Lynn, I think I know what you're getting at with that. There are some brand of vaccine I will take, and there's some brand of vaccine I will not take. I think that's what you're getting at. Does that make sense? Listen, if you feel good about your interest rate because it's in the 3s, get over it and call Hull Financial because rates are now in the 2s. Be smart. Make the call because you could be saving money. Hull Financial is fast, and they do all the heavy lifting for you. So go to davidhallmortgage.com now to get started. Hull Financial, lower payments, better options, more personal attention. I'm going to be, Terry, I'm going to tie in the bubble to something that happened in the summertime, and I think you know where I'm going with this, where every one of my Puckhead fans agreed that the Stanley Cup playoffs were an unbelievable success. And it's not very often that everybody can kind of agree with that, but we'll tell you why when we come back and how that might apply to what's going on with the bubble in Indiana. More on that when we come back. Terry Foster, Sean Baligian, this is Woodward Sports.
You don't fumble the ball at work. Hey, Joyke Bell, Sean Baligian. See you guys next weekend.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh, Bell's soft. Wait till it comes to New Zealand. Sure, that.
I never get tired. I never get tired of watching Fish's victory there. What a great commercial.
Hey, upsets happen. That's why they play the tournament, right?
Terry, you know what? The NHL, the NBA, and if we're being brutally honest, a lot of people at the time said that they were both really dumb to do it. The NHL and NBA kind of showed everybody that bubbles can work, didn't they?
They did, absolutely. And you know it's going to work this time. It's going to work in the tournament. I think they've looked at the NHL and the NBA and said, okay, and they probably picked up good ideas and bad ideas. Don't let those boys go to the strip club though. Don't do that. Get those chicken wings. Other than that, you should be good. But they've studied things, and what we do in something like a pandemic, which none of us have really experienced before, is sometimes somebody's got to go in and just fuck up. And then you look at, say, let me write down some notes because I'm going to do the same thing because I'm not shutting the whole thing down. And then you learn from it. And I think the NCAA probably has the perfect venue. Although, I wonder, how come Indy always gets stuff? How come you can't have it in Detroit? And I'm talking about like the Big Ten tournament.
Sure.
I mean, you could have had games at Ford Field. You could have had games at Chrysler Arena, LCA, Breslin if you want to, EMU.
Beautiful.
Right. Because we're not packing the stadiums anyway. So we could, and our people to the south, Toledo.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to just be within the state. So we could have done that too. But Indy's always, it's got, and I know the our amateurs are down there and stuff, but I don't understand how that city gets everything and we get nothing.
I think you bring up such a great point because we're living through this right now, and I often come back to this. Remember when Alabama won the national championship and everybody said, what are those idiots doing? Look at all these people partying in the street. There's going to be this massive spike down in Tuscaloosa. It didn't happen. The Super Bowl. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how. Now, I'm not advocating go out and do it, okay? I'm still advocating be safe. But, when you tell people that if you do this down in Tuscaloosa or you do this in Tampa, there are going to be these massive repercussions, and then the repercussions don't happen, well, pardon me if I don't ask you, well, wait a second. This was supposed to happen. I think we're living this right now, Terry, with the Texas Rangers saying, come on, come on. No, I think we're going to find out quick, fast, in a hurry if it's safer, and that's why I'm hoping that maybe after a couple weeks, you and I are going to have an opportunity to be sitting out in right field, sipping on a beer with, 7,000 of our closest friends.
And some nachos.
That sounds good to me.
And a tiger dog.
Okay.
But you know what? This is what sports does. How can your team win a championship in any sport and then nobody celebrates? That's impossible.
Yep. Because
sports makes us passionate, it makes us goofy, and what's fans short for? Fanatical.
Mm-hmm.
You don't act right, and that's all right. Just as long as you do it, once a year or once whatever, and that's the beauty of sports.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not rational.
Absolutely, it is. Terry, when and you know how rigid hockey fans are, okay? When the NHL schedule was announced, I knew I was just happy it was back because I was like, let's reward the Stanley Cup. I don't care when it happens. People complained about the months it was played, the schedule it was played, the times. For me and my group of friends to be able to sit there and turn on the game at noon and then have the next game come at 3 and then have the next game come at 7 and then have a bonus game at 10 o'clock, I will look back fondly on that for the rest of my days. And I don't care if there were some days. One day, Terry, I had about 10 guys over, and we had the smokers, plural, not singular, smokers on all day. It was about 90 degrees. And we were in my basement. I open up the walkout door, go grab things off the smoker, come back inside. It didn't matter one thing. That basement felt about 65 degrees. I was with my friends. We were watching hockey. I'll always think back fondly of that. And I think, obviously, part of it is not only the hockey itself, but you know what? I think we were all at that point by the time I missed human interaction. Right. I did. I missed human. And if you didn't want to come over, totally cool. I get it. I did. At that point in time, they said crowds of less than 10. Okay, so you know what? I had about 10 friends come over, and we chilled. And I asked a couple guys, and Fish, you want to come over? Oh, man, I'm not real comfortable. Okay, cool. Art, guess what? You were on the reserve list. You're coming over now. You know what? So it was beautiful.
Who would complain about that? If we can have NCAA tournament games that start at 11:50 a.m. and go until midnight, why are you going to bitch about game after game after game after game?
Loved it.
For the NHL.
Loved it.
And what does the NBA do every Christmas? They start in the morning and then they just go on night. Game after game after game after. If you're a junkie, man, this is the best. Even on Thanksgiving with the stupid little Lions, we get them at 1 or noon. Then you get Dallas, and then you get another game. That's football all day. How are you going to bitch about that?
Terry.
How are you going to say, oh, that's bad?
I call me out. I call me out. I was one of those guys saying, it's not the way it's Detroit and Dallas. When they decided to add that third game, I really turned into cranky old man. I did. And you know what? It took me all of the first game to go, ooh, I like this.
All right.
Because by 7:30 at night, that tryptophan is floating through your body, and you turn on that game, you might take a little, I'm up. Time to get myself a turkey sandwich.
You know what else people bitched about? They bitched about the outdoor game being on New Year's Day, because that's my football. And now football has changed, where the championship game is 3 weeks later. You play the semifinals maybe on that day, maybe not. You just schedule the game early afternoon, have football later in the afternoon.
Bam.
But there's always a solution. So my advice to all you kiddies out there, don't bitch about something until it's actually played out.
Absolutely. Yes, Arthur.
Yes, thank you. What do you say to the people that are saying during these COVID times the championships don't count because teams are getting knocked out or put on the back burner because of COVID or whatever? What do you say to that? Because to me, it's like it's still a game. They're still going strong.
I can answer it in one or two words. It depends on. I'll defer to the journalist here. Is bullshit one word or two words, Terry?
Bullshit is 2 words.
Okay, bullshit. That's my response to them.
And I was going to go with another dumbasses, because if we didn't have COVID, would Gonzaga still be a favorite to win? Would Michigan still be a favorite to win? And, Isaiah Livers is there. If you want to say, well, because of COVID, they knocked Duke out, well, Duke wasn't going to win it this year. Michigan State, they had 2 shutdowns, but Michigan State wasn't going to win it this year because they just didn't have strong enough point guard play. They weren't good enough. So I say, you know what? Whoever wins, you're a champion. Celebrate. Get your little T-shirts out, and in 20 years from now, we won't think about that. What you will think about is, my favorite player has a ring, I got my T-shirt, and I got my memories. That's all you got to remember.
You know what? I heard it a lot during football season, and quite frankly, I heard a lot of people, truth be told, use it as an excuse for Jim Harbaugh this past year, and I think it's a bullshit excuse. Just as the same as somebody tried to use it for Tom Izzo and the Spartans, I'm going to use the same. It's a bullshit excuse. It'd be one thing, Art, if COVID wasn't affecting everybody. Okay, it's affecting everybody.
Yeah.
Period. There's nobody that's been untouched by this. Now, it might adversely affect this team. I think Michigan is a team that you could say it adversely affected them more so than other teams. But this is something we're all playing on a level playing field right now.
Right.
So I think for somebody to excuse away what they weren't able to do by using COVID is incredibly disingenuous.
Well, let me ask you this question. Ohio State in football, if they had played 11 games instead of 6 games, would they have gone to the national semifinal?
Yes.
Yeah, nobody's going to beat them.
Nobody's beating them in the Big
Now,
Ten.
if they had played 11 games rather than 6, would they still have gotten their asses kicked by Alabama? Yeah.
My other thing, Tom is checking in here, wants to know, did T. Foster get his Twitter back? If you want to update people real quick.
I got my Twitter back, and what happened is somebody took my account. Somebody, I forget the name of it, but somebody took my account.
Chalupa toast or something. Because
Yeah,
I
it was-
tweeted at him.
yeah, it
I
was
was like, give Terry his thing
Yeah,
back.
it was something weird, but I had no access to my account because Twitter kept saying, well, change your password. I said, dude, I can't sign in to change my password. So, and you know who helped me? Little Joey in the morning. You don't like him either.
I'm so sick of him getting all the compliments. He's so great. He smiles all the time. He's got great
But
muscles.
He helped me.
He's a great guy.
All right.
He just, you want to know why I'm upset? I didn't get cookies on Friday. That's why I'm upset.
Oh.
Free Cookie Friday.
Those crumble cookies look pretty good.
Do they have gluten-free for you?
They better. Or I'm writing.
Why do you need gluten-free? What's up with you?
I've got a gluten allergy, so if I eat it, I'm done for like 3-4 days.
I am so happy. I have no stupid allergies. I can eat whatever I want. Gluten, sugar, boogers, it don't matter.
See, but the hipsters ruined it for me because it became like a cool thing to ask, like, hey, you got gluten-free, this and that. Like, if I eat it, I'm done for the day and the next day. Like,
For real?
Yeah. Like, it's terrible. Terrible. Like, terrible stomach pains. I'm not going to go on, just like the worst. I feel like I'm going to pass out, like fall asleep. Like, it affects me bad.
My buddy Mike, who on the Smoke Show is
That's my
like,
man.
For years, like, he was the type of dude, Mike, sorry. He was the type of dude who he might be someplace and all of a sudden he'd get that look on his face. He had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You knew. I mean, I remember that when we were kids. It's just like that look would, and so he, like, I don't know, like 5 years ago or something, Mike, if I'm misrepresenting, yell at me. Like, he was like, you shouldn't be eating this, and this. And it's amazing. Like, everything just straightened out. Like, everything straightened out after that.
Right.
But, you know, here he lived with that his whole life, and we couldn't figure out. He was the dude that, like, we could be someplace, and you just knew the look that came on it. He's got to run to the bathroom.
From
I'm
5
with you.
years old all the way up until I was about 27, I didn't know what it was. I quit gluten, never had stomach problems since. And it's the same thing as Mike. Like, I'll go to places and they'll say, oh, no, it's gluten-free, and I'll know within 10 minutes of it.
I don't even know what a gluten is.
It's wheat. It's, it's
is it? Right.
it's in beer. It's on chicken wings. You got to be
You
careful.
can't drink beer?
No, I don't drink anyway, but yeah, it's...
Oh, man, I'd be...
You don't drink at all?
No, I quit drinking like almost a year ago. Yeah.
Now, did
Fish
you almost
is-
lose your life or something? Is that why you quit? Or?
No,
Did you
I
have a
just
bad moment?
I have an addictive personality, and one beer turns into 7, and then next thing you know, I want to hug everyone and cry and share my feelings. I do that already. I don't need
You know
alcohol
who he
to
reminds
influence
me
it.
of? There's this cartoon character named Sherman. Sherman was a little boy, and he hung out with a dog.
Yes!
What was the dog's name? Wasn't Paddlefoot. It may have been Dudley.
Sherman
They
and
came out with
it's
a movie.
Sherman and Peabody.
Peabody.
Mr. Peabody, right.
Mr. Peabody.
I'm gonna pull up the image right now.
That's great.
He could be Mr. Peabody.
Here it is, right here. Here it is. Get a laugh.
Oh, that's it. That's you. That's Sherman.
The get a laugh.
I took my kids to that movie a few years back. That's right.
But you know what? Coming from Terry, it's a compliment. If it was from Joik, I'd leave the show now and never come back. Blissful Terry means it in the best way possible.
We'll call you Sherman. Should we call him Sherman or Mr. Peabody? I like Mr. Peabody. What does Mr. Peabody look like?
Mr. Peabody had glasses too. He was like the smart dog, right?
Yeah, he was a smart
find
dog.
a picture of Mr. Peabody. We'll let the people.
Yeah, I think he looks more like Mr. Peabody.
You're right, Mr. Peabody. Because you're smart.
Joik's rubbing off on you guys. I don't like it.
No. We're not calling you a dumbass. We're saying you're smart, dude.
You're smart. Are you kidding me?
It's Mr. Peabody.
Oh, that is absolutely outstanding. Terry, I'm with you. I've never. Now there are some certain things that like I stay away from that just don't taste good.
Right.
But no,
You know what I cannot stand that a lot of people love? Blue cheese.
I love it.
It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Not even on chicken wings?
Nothing.
Wow.
I got into an argument with a woman. She was a waitress, and she said, "We put blue cheese in our coleslaw." I said, "Well, I don't want your coleslaw." So she's like peddling coleslaw. No, you should have it. We have the best coleslaw in Metro Detroit. So, yeah, but it's got blue cheese in it. I don't like it. She's like, "Oh, you can barely taste the blue cheese in it." So I'm like, "All right, just bring it. You are so hell-bent on giving me blue cheese. Who told you he doesn't like it? Just give it to me." So I took a bite of this coleslaw. All I tasted was the blue cheese. That's all I tasted. I'm like, "Oh, this is so gross, and this is real bad." She said, "Well, normally people don't have this reaction to it." "Yeah, but mostly people don't come up to you and say, 'I don't like blue cheese.'" I told you I don't like blue cheese, but you insisted.
Terry, you hit on something though. You know what I think it is? Like, do you not? Chicago-style pizza is awful. I don't like it at all.
Really?
Zero, zilch, nada. I mean, it's not pizza.
Okay.
It's but you know what I think it is? People always want to be there to convince you. That lady, what she wanted more than anything was for you to take a bite and go, "You know what?
You changed my life."
You did it, honey. I do like like go all green eggs and ham. I will eat it in my car.
Right.
I will, No, you haven't been to the right. Have you ever been to such and such in Chicago? Listen to me. You need it. I don't like it. It's not pizza to me. Oh, but
Sean, you got to go to brother.
I don't need to.
You got to go to Gino's East.
Right? That's it. I don't listen to me. No. Listen. I'll buy it for you. I don't want you to buy it for me. I don't want to eat it. It's not good to me. But Terry,
right.
You know as well as I do, Art just wants to go, "So what'd you think of Gino's East?" So now I've taken a go, "Oh, you're right. It changed my life. I'll never disrespect Chicago-style pizza again."
Instead, you say it still sucks.
Yeah.
Then he gets pissed at you.
Yeah,
like,
right?
"Hey, this is my pizza. How could you do that?"
How can you do me like that?
You're
man?
not allowed to like different things.
No. Here, you know what? I like Detroit-style pizza. I do. Buddy's is good. I like the thinner New York style.
Not allowed.
Yeah, right? How can you say that? No.
You're not Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly, you're not from Detroit.
You must be from Livonia.
All right, hey, with March Madness right around the corner, MyBookie's offering a shot at a share of $10,000 with the My Bracket contest, and it's only a single dollar entry. We've got NBA tipping off every other day, not one but two UFC pay-per-view cards and plenty of intense NHL action right at your fingertips. So regardless of your favorite player or team, whether you're betting first or third period totals, you've got a choice from thousands of lines and prop bets on all sports, and it's all at one place, MyBookie. But to take advantage of this, you have to take the initiative, my friend. Get a head start by signing up today with promo code Woodward, and they'll match your first deposit halfway up to $1,000. That's free cash, credited to your account instantly on top of your deposit. Now, the best part is you always have access to the action, whether you're at home or on the go. Visit the website online or on your phone at mybookie.ag and use promo code Woodward to grab yourself a deposit bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Terry, you and I have not talked about this, okay? But this is the way I'll tease the next segment. One of the baddest men we've both seen in our lifetime passed away over the weekend. I have no problem speaking for Terry there. He can correct me if he disagrees. I don't think he will. When we come back right here on Woodward Sports.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. And at Hall Financial, we treat our clients like family. And our number one priority is giving each of our clients 5-star service. Our passion for 5-star service, combined with our expertise, allows us to find the best possible solution for refinancing your home loan. We take the time to focus on both the individual and the numbers. We're going to walk you through the process and close your loan in half the time of our competition. Go to davidhallmortgage.com today.
We've kind of morphed into one of those families, Terry. I have to confess this to you. For some reason, my family likes sending pictures of our dogs to each other.
Okay.
I don't.
But people love dogs. They're like their children. They're not pets. They're children.
But you're gonna go home to the dog.
Why are you sending me pictures of the dogs? Like, what? I'm working. What do you? Oh, maybe this was their grand plan. They wanted to just completely blow up the show. And
well, it worked.
It did. Congratulations. Do you guys send pictures of
my wife?
I
My wife does it to me with my kids all the time, and I'm like, I see them 24/7. Like, I'll be home soon.
No, I want a dog. I want a dog, but suppose my wife has dog nose. She can walk into a house, sniff around, and know that a dog lives there, and it bugs the shit out of her. So, but I want a dog. I don't care what it is. I just want somebody when I come home, just say, I'm your buddy, and
love my dogs.
Just give him a hug, and he just chills out.
I love my dogs. I'm not, but you don't need to send me pictures of my dogs.
Do you treat your dog like children?
Yes.
Okay, that's why you got the photo.
I got to be honest with you. Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's the girl. For whatever reason, when I'm chilling out at home, she loves to. I'm the guy that does this, laying on the couch watching a game, and that's her spot. Like when Dad's home, that's right there on my chest. That's where she sits every time.
Well, that's why you get photos, because you're all in.
Yeah. But
don't sit up here and act all surprised and everything.
Send me pictures of the dogs. Knock it off.
Because you probably miss the dog.
I do miss the dogs.
Okay, then. Well, let's send you a photo.
This guy, listen, this guy's the dumbest dog in the history of mankind. He just, I don't know what happened to him. He's dumb, right?
I really love dumb dogs.
He's very lovable. He's very, very dumb. There's just no other way to say that. And it makes it even better. The Rocket. He's stupid. Marvin Hagler. When I was a kid, Terry, I'm not joking. I used to see him, and it wasn't just how he decimated guys in the ring. The way he looked when I was a young man scared the shit out of me. He just looked honestly, I remember thinking when I was 11, 12 years old, that's the baddest man on the planet. I would mess with one of them heavyweights before I'd mess with this guy. Because it's not just the combination of, with a heavyweight, he's going to punch me once and I'm out. This dude's he's going to hurt me bad with a flurry of punches and then knock me out.
And will never back down.
And he's never going to back. Yet, Terry, when I was a kid, Marvin Hagler was the baddest man on earth in my mind. He just was.
And you have to understand, Marvin Hagler came through it was Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Benitez. There was a bunch of bad dudes that came in through the welterweights. And Marvin Hagler was he was the dude you remembered most. And he was a guy kicking some people's ass.
Yeah, passed away over the weekend at the age of 66. And I think for people out there that maybe didn't live through it, Art, you're a perfect guy to talk to, okay? You're an MMA guy. How long have you been an MMA guy?
Since 16 years old.
Okay. At one point in time, boxing used to be like can't miss.
Oh yeah, the 80s.
Everybody.
The 80s, especially during Hagler's time, was.
And part of it was, Terry, we got to watch these guys like on a weekly basis.
On NBC TV.
We really did. And it was, I mean, I think it was you and I are in this fight is just, I can sit there and watch this.
It's the greatest round in boxing history.
Look at young Richard Steele there. Hagler Hearns. If you have not watched this yet, as we're chatting, you have my full permission to even turn down the volume on us talking and just watch these guys, because it doesn't, see what you're seeing right now? Right out of the corner, it doesn't stop. It picks up. I feel disrespectful even talking.
I have no
over it, Terry.
idea how either one of these men survived that first round, because they were throwing haymakers. But let me say this: I was so upset when Tommy Hearns got knocked out in the third round. Because Tommy was our guy. He's Detroit, he's our guy. He's gonna represent. I wasn't pissed at Tommy Hearns, but I was like, damn, Tommy, couldn't you just survive with this dude? But Marvin Hagler was no joke. But I think the whole city was devastated because we all knew Tommy Hearns, even though we didn't meet him.
Yep.
He was fighting every other month at Olympia Stadium, then Joe Louis, and that was our guy.
Hilmer Kenty. I mean, you knew all these guys coming out of Cron. You did.
Tommy Hearns, Hilmer Kenty, they were the fifth professional Detroit sports team.
Truth.
And we rooted for him.
Truth. I mean, it is absolutely just a phenomenal thing. It was such a great era. And I know I found out from talking to you, we had a mutual friend in Emmanuel Stewart, who I think anybody that knew even a little bit about boxing, you were immediately Emmanuel's friend.
Right.
Immediately. If you knew anything about boxing, he brought you in. That's just the way it is. Terry, it was such a magical era because, as you mentioned, it wasn't just the heavyweights, and we were getting out of the era of Ali and going into Larry Holmes, and nobody for about a good 5 years was even in Larry Holmes' zip code. But you had all these welterweights, and you had even little hands of stone, Michael Carbajal, these smaller guys that just went into the ring and warred. I mean, there's just no other way to say that. But you talk about those guys, Sugar Ray and Tommy Hearns and Roberto Duran and Marvin Hagler. In my mind, Terry, they owned boxing for a good 5 years.
And, their hands were so quick. I mean, they hit you 3-4 times, and a regular person was like, damn, did I just get hit? Yep, because I'm falling to the floor. Yeah. But they were, they had power, they had hand speed, and they could box. And a lot of times when you get heavyweights, not dogging the profession, but you get maulers, like they're doing like this. I just have a bigger punch than you, so I'm going to knock your ass out. Or you get heavyweights, and their bellies are all out, over the waistline, and they're not in good shape. If they don't get it done in 5 rounds, they're not going to survive this fight. But welterweight, you had to be in shape. You had to have a flat belly. You had to have speedy hands. You had to have power if you wanted just to survive.
I think one thing that stood out to Hagler for me was his quote. He said, "If they cut my bald head open, they will find one big boxing glove. That's all I am. I live it." When I think of what happened with him and Sugar Ray Leonard, and that was the end of his career, he had so much potential still. He had so much more to go in that split decision. He was so devastated. I constantly think, sure, he was aging at that point, but what could have happened? You know what's interesting about that? And we didn't talk about this ahead of time. I think Sugar Ray fought the most brilliant fight ever. I mean, he knew exactly what he was doing in that fight. And I think because of that, Terry, I really do think Sugar Ray Leonard won that fight. Was Marvin the aggressor in the fight? Absolutely. But unless Marvin knocked out Sugar Ray coming out and doing the flurry of punches at the end of the round and everything. Well, what resonates in a judge's mind? He
was probably the smartest of all the fighters. Yep. He fought Tommy Hearns twice, and he beat Tommy Hearns the first time. The second one was I still say Tommy won the second fight, but he didn't get the decision.
I agree with you.
And but Sugar Ray, man, he knew exactly how to work. He knew how to work the crowd, work the media, work the judges. So,
By the way,
was it.
Aquara staying 3 years, $39 million is what was just texted to me. So I apologize. That just came up. I wanted to get out there. Sugar Ray Roberto Duran, that second fight. I mean, it's just, that was the earth stopped, you know, because to back up, when Roberto Duran beat Sugar Ray in Montreal in the summertime, Sugar Ray wanted a rematch immediately, if not sooner, and he got it. Now, I want you to think about this, Art. Only 5 months later, not even 5 months later, he got that rematch. And to Terry's point, you know what? Sugar Ray said, everything I did in that first round, I crumbled it up, and I went, and that's the famous no mas fight, you know? You know,
Yep.
and you could watch him psychologically dismantle one of the most ferocious guys out there in Roberto Duran. It was
you know,
phenomenal.
Roberto Duran was all business. I'm here to fight.
Yep.
I'm not here to play, and I don't want to see any play. So let's just box. Sugar Ray was like, okay, I'm going to act a clown and get you off your game. That's exactly what happened.
He was brilliant. I'm sorry. I know people around here, we were all Tommy, but was there part of you, Terry? Like, I was the same way. I was like, I'm Tommy all the way. Man, I love Sugar Ray. He just found that little thing that kind of threw the other guy off kilter, you know?
He was that guy in school. Wasn't a bully, but he would pick on everybody and just needle you.
Yep.
And then you get all pissed off and I'm going to kick this guy's ass, and then he would do something that made you look like a fool. So that was Sugar Ray.
Yeah. Oh, it was awesome. Where would you put Hagler in terms of the pantheon of fighters? You know, I've heard some people say you put him top 5 and everything. He was a brawler. T. I mean, I say again, when I was a kid, I was scared of Marvin Hagler. Just looking at him, he just looked like such a bad man.
No, he was a badass, all right. You know, he's definitely top 5 of all time. And I wasn't even mad at him for beating Tommy Hearns. I was like, you know, I respect this guy.
Sure.
What he did was great, because this was like an amazing fight. And Tommy blasted his ass. And he was like, okay, that's good. That was a nice punch, and he's just keep coming. So, and I know Tommy broke his hand and all that stuff, but still he blasted Hagler. But Hagler just kept coming and finally got him, tagged him. That was the most entertaining and high action of any sport. And you take football, basketball, those 3 rounds were probably the most exciting, because you knew something was going to happen. You just didn't know when or where or who. Nope, you know, both fighters weren't going to survive 12 or 15 rounds of that. Somebody was going to get the wrong end of the deal. You knew it was coming, but when?
That was kind of the endearing part of Tommy as well, because you think back to that first fight against Ray. Tommy, you almost wish that Tommy had that gene in him that would allow him to take a step back when he had to take a step back. Tommy had one direction. It was go.
Right.
I mean, you know, and it's funny. I'm sure you guys have all heard the story. That fight was won. He beat Ray Leonard. He could have danced around the last couple of rounds.
You talking the first fight?
Yeah, the first
he
fight.
could have.
It was won. It was over. He could have danced around. The only way he loses that fight is if Ray knocks him out. Tommy can't back up. Like he's physically incapable of backing up, because you know he's Detroit, man. He's Detroit all the way. And gosh, Terry, I'm telling you, I'm having a flash. I remember watching that, just thinking to myself, back away, back away, back away. You know, and you heard Emmanuel state. Emmanuel, you know, Tommy, back away, Tommy. He can't do it. He couldn't do it. And
I think that's the Detroit fighters, because it's like, okay, we're from Detroit. Because I remember Andrew Toney. He fought Lights Out. He fought Roy Jones.
Yeah.
And Roy Jones was just peppering his ass. And Tony thought he won the fight, because he kept coming and getting knocked around. He get his punches in, but Roy Jones was just like pummeling his ass. But Tony, to his credit, he was a man. I'm not backing down, but I think that's it. That Detroit mentality. I'm not backing down.
Point.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd rather lose than win backing down.
And that's exactly what happened to James Toney when he fought in the UFC against Randy Couture. And when you think about that, you mentioned Detroit fighters and Michigan fighters in general. It's go forward. You're gonna take a couple to the head, but you keep taking them, and you're gonna hit your opponent harder than they're gonna hit you. And that bullheaded mentality hurts you. I mean, you see it in MMA. Chuck Liddell, Vanderlei Silva, like these fighters that just throw until something connects. It can happen to you too, and that's what we witnessed with Tommy.
It goes back to I'm a man.
Yeah.
Damn
you're
it.
going to beat me in my own game. I'm a man. And it's like,
Right.
well, you're going to meet a bigger man
But you know
one
who
day.
was the king of that? Joe Frazier.
Oh, absolutely.
Joe
gosh.
Frazier never took a step back in his whole career. And he would just lead with his head. And you just hit it, and then bam, he hit you right in the ribs. You're like, damn, that shit hurt. And that's what he did.
You know the funny thing is though, looking back, like who's the guy that people talk about Ali? People talk about Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard is a guy that can go, yeah, okay, cool. Well, who you got in front of me? You mentioned Roberto Duran? Yeah, I beat him. Oh, you mentioned Tommy? Beat him a couple times. He really didn't. Marvin? Yeah, I got him. It pissed him off so badly he quit boxing. You know what I mean? So it's funny when you think about. And Ali was the same way. You know, Ali was like, okay, I mean, rope-a-dope.
Right.
It's just brilliant.
That it was brilliant, but stupid at the same time.
Long term.
How can you do that? I mean, with George Foreman.
Yeah.
How could you sit in the corner and just let him tire himself? Who would have thought like his corner's like, no, don't do it. But that's Ali being Ali. He knows his body. He knows what he can withstand. He knows his opponent better than anybody. So you just kind of let him do what he does.
Phenomenal.
We're up against the break, but I wanted to ask both of you. That time in boxing in the 80s, there was nothing like it. You know, you mentioned all the fighters, Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, Sugar, you know. What needs to happen now to get people entertained with boxing? To me, I think what killed it is too many weight classes and too many divas.
100%.
You know, will that era of boxing ever come back?
We'll talk about that when we come back. How's that? Great question. I think we can both probably go back to things that Emmanuel Stewart told us. I know things that he told me about that, but can boxing return to its days of glory? It's a good question. We'll talk about it when we come back. Terry Foster, Sean Baligian, so glad you can join us on a Monday morning right here on Woodward Sports.
Hey, it's Joey from Woodward Sports, and I am here in downtown Fenton at Bridge Street Exchange. This place has so many amazing things for guys. And ladies, this is the hidden spot that you got to come check out. I'm talking Thorogood boots, best boots ever. They have barware. They got the Stormy Cromer hats. They got Carhartt hats, a huge Carhartt selection. They even got Snoop Dogg underwear. So go check them out, bridgestreetexchange.com, and use the code word WSN for 15% off.
You know, it's interesting, Terry, I think a lot of younger people, maybe like Fish and Art, if I can use you guys as an example, and maybe some people out there watching right now, probably don't like to hear guys like us, and I know Maz is the same way, wax poetically about yesteryear of boxing, but I don't think perhaps you guys realize how big it was. In case you missed it when we went to the break, Arthur asked, can boxing get back to the point that it was in the early to mid, well, you could even say in the 70s. I mean, Ali was the biggest flipping thing on earth. Maybe a 15, 20-year run. Can boxing ever get back to that, Terry?
Well, for me, here's what prevents me, a casual fan, from really getting into it. I don't know who these people are. I need to know the stories, the background, the rivalries, and once I know all that, then I can get into it. But I don't know these stories. I don't know the backgrounds. I don't know the rivalries. I don't know that this dude slapped your mama. So until I hear that, no. The answer is no. And the other thing I know we both talked about, we talked to Emmanuel Stewart, the thing that's preventing the heavyweights from being great in America, first of all, we need American champions. We don't need them from Poland or Russia, stuff like that. We need some dudes from over here. He said, the thing that's preventing us from having a great American champion is the NFL.
Yep.
If you're 6'4", 270 pounds, you're a defensive end in the NFL. You're not boxing. You're not letting somebody hit you in the head. You're gonna play defensive end, and that's where the next great heavyweight is playing in the NFL. Maybe the next great heavyweight was Michael Strahan. Maybe the next great heavyweight was J.J. Watts. I don't know. But that is what's preventing the heavyweight division, which was the king of boxing. Even when we talked about the welterweight.
Absolutely it was.
That's what prevented it from being great. You had to have great heavyweights for boxing to take off.
You had hi Fish. Let's head to the aquarium. Here's Fish. What's up, Fish?
Boxing's trying to come back, and they're trying to come back by YouTubers, having YouTubers box. Trying to bring the younger audience back.
Stop it.
And also trying to bring boxing back.
No, I'm going to cut you. That's the worst, terrible take ever. Ever. It's terrible.
You pissed off Mr. Peabody.
Well,
now.
You got Jake Paul fighting.
Yeah, they got Jake Paul. Logan Paul's going to fight Mayweather, possibly. It was supposed to be in February. That got canceled, so we'll see if they fight.
I think that's a terrible idea, but they're getting eyes on it.
They are, but here's the problem is that you have people like, and I speak so highly of her, and I know she's Joyke's best friend. You have people like Clarissa Shields, who has broken records.
Absolutely.
But the problem is that there's no one for her to fight.
You're right.
You've got divisions, and that's why women's MMA and boxing, although it is neck and neck with entertainment value of men's boxing, guys that are like, I don't want to see chicks fight, that irks me so much. But to the point of what Fish is saying, you have YouTubers now who are coming in, and Mike Tyson is funding this and backing it. And it's terrible. It's terrible. I hate it.
Woodward Sports stuck up for you, Fish. They said it's not a terrible take. It's bringing eyes to the sport. They also added, make the best fight the best. You can say whatever you want.
Let me
about your boy in the UFC.
Ben Askren and Jake Paul is not the best of the best.
Okay, but in the UFC, I'm complimenting the UFC here, okay?
Yeah.
Dana has been great at that.
A genius.
Now, is there anything worse than Dana doing the thing between the two fighters? Oh, Dana, you're stopping them from going at one another.
Right.
Every fight, it's like, drop that. You're not fooling anybody.
But it sells it. It sells it.
But, like, that's the one thing, Terry, part of what we're talking about. Like, let's stop ourselves, okay? You know what? All the big names are fighting each other. And then you heard about this guy in the mid-'80s. I heard about this guy who, I'll never forget, the first maniac. This maniac from New York, who's this tall, named Mike Tyson. Okay? Right. And like it was almost like an urban legend, right? Wait till you see Mike Tyson. Well, I've heard about where can I see Mike Tyson? And then it was almost like they brought and he didn't just beat people, it was humiliation. It was power, I'm still convinced he scared the shit out of Michael Spinks, and Michael Spinks just said, I'm not doing this tonight.
Yes.
I'm not doing this tonight.
Terry brought up a good point, though, of selling the story. You know, that's why I love the UFC, because you have fighters from all over the world that are fighting for the title, and then you have these little side pieces of like Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor, and they hate each other. The greatest rivalry, in my opinion, Conor McGregor and Khabib. You need that one person to set a fire to boxing. And when you have a YouTuber named Jake Paul doing it, that's when you know the sport is dead. Do I respect Jake Paul for getting in there and putting the gloves on? Absolutely. But it's not something that's going to be long. You know, he's going to eventually meet his mark against a real professional. I don't know if it will be Ben Askren.
But you know, the storylines sell because I was all into the Conor McGregor story.
Yeah.
You know, he's from overseas, Ireland. He's this guy that walks around like this. But then I looked at his record and said, damn, Conor McGregor's gotten his ass kicked a couple times.
Yeah.
I never realized
that.
But
the thing is the UFC put money behind him. They put promotion behind him. They built this guy, and then he loses, and it's like, well, I hope you have a good backup plan, and they haven't had that. Ronda Rousey, there's another example. Oh. You have one fighter in the division of women in general that they focus on. That person loses, and it's like, what do we do now? You know, and with boxing, name a champion that sells a story that you're going to buy that pay-per-view for. Floyd Mayweather. You know, is he going to get that? He's not fighting anymore. Who's the next Floyd Mayweather? You know, it's a sport where you have too many titles, too much money involved, too many divas, and you don't see that with the UFC because the UFC has made it clear no 165-pound division. It will never happen.
Right. They had a program a couple weeks ago, the 10 all-time greatest women MMA fighters. You know who number 2 was? Ronda Rousey.
Right.
And she got lit up.
Lit up.
A few times. I mean, she had a run. It was a short run, but she got lit up. But she was still number 2 all time. I think part of that had to do with how dominant she was for that short period of time. And also, we knew that story, and we liked that story.
Sure.
We kind of liked her.
Yeah, I mean, she had the armbar locked down, but everybody has a puzzle piece that you can break.
Art, you know what's funny? I don't think I've ever told you this. So when the UFC first came out, my buddies and I were all in. We were like 24, 25 years old. Tank Abbott, Hoist Gracie, Ken Shamrock, all
Don
these
Fry,
guys.
Dan
But you know
Severn,
what?
yeah.
Like, so after watching it a few times, no disrespect to you or anybody else, it was just kind of like, been there, done that, right? So I've moved in and out of it, but point blank to Terry's point, Ronda Rousey got me back in because if this many people are talking about this, okay, then it's almost like the Mike Tyson thing. It's like, all right, everybody's talking, you have to see it. Is this guy as bad as people say? And Mike Tyson was able to show everybody how bad he was, right? Whereas with Ronda Rousey, it was like, oh, wait a second, I thought, what? Isn't she unbeatable?
Right.
Isn't she one of the greatest fighters? That was a shit show. I'm never watching that again.
What ruined it for her is,
right?
what ruined it for her is not only Holly Holm, but then Amanda Nunes, who is arguably the greatest woman fighter of all time, next to Clarissa Shields.
Yeah,
But-
she even got a beer commercial.
Yeah,
That's how
Modelo.
bad she is.
Yeah. I mean, when you start getting that endorsement money, it's like, okay, you got to back up what you're saying, and she has. My thing is the only way that boxing gets bigger is if you bring those fighters over to the UFC and they can prove themselves. Because let's be honest, the UFC is 10 times bigger than what boxing is right now.
Not even close.
You know?
I think you're being disrespectful when you say 10 times.
Yeah. I mean, but that's a good promoter. Dana White promotes fights well. He, you mentioned the standing in between each other. No, you're not. That's selling the soap opera. The UFC is a men's soap opera, except
Absolutely
they really get
is.
to hit each other.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you a story that helped MMA here in the Detroit area. They had some fights at the beautiful air-conditioned Cobo Arena, and the police were threatening to shut it down. There were certain things that you can do in MMA that you can't do in boxing. I think there were certain things that were they thought it was unsportsmanlike. They thought it was dirty, and so the police went to the fights, and they're standing around wanting to shut this down. Well, what that did, a lot of people are like, well, shit, if the Detroit police are here, I got to be there. So it made it even bigger because they were threatening to shut it down. Just stuff like that.
You know, part of that beauty though is, and I'll go back to Tyson because Tyson brought back boxing for a time being. It was kind of on life support, and then he brought it back. Every time Mike Tyson fought, my boys and I watched the fight, and like Art, I'm serious. Everybody talks about do you know what the biggest surprise to us was? That this guy that looked like he wasn't a professional. Here you have Mike Tyson literally chiseled out of stone, right? I mean, cuts and abs and everything, right? And Butter Douglas, who was in the best shape of his career, I might add, for that fight. And it wasn't very good shape. Terry, it was one of those things, I don't know if you watch a fight. I'll never forget it watching that Saturday night. It was like, oh, I can't believe he didn't knock this guy out yet. And it got to the third and fourth round, and you're going, are my eyes deceiving me?
Right. This is Buster Douglas. He ain't that good.
What's and then when you got to like the eighth round, I think it was the eighth, he almost knocked him out. And you were like, okay, it was inevitably. And then he got up and you're like, Mike looks tired. And then all of a sudden it was like, what am I seeing here? And it was like all these, because nobody went that far with Mike Tyson. He disassembled you in a couple rounds. So when it got to the fourth round, you're going, what's going on? But entertaining the thought that Buster Douglas was going to win the fight, it never popped in your brain.
But
I'm arguing with Woodward Sports on YouTube as Woodward Sports right now because they said it has nothing to do with promotion. It has absolutely everything to do with
absolutely
promotion.
it does.
so
The
you're
other
arguing
thing-
with yourself.
Stop.
Yeah.
But you know, the thing is, that was a magical moment in boxing.
Yep.
None of us saw it live. Maybe you did because
did.
it was
We-
in
we bought it.
Japan.
Yep.
Wasn't it starting to?
Saturday night, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yep.
something stupid
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, we watched that. I'll never forget it. I was at my buddy's house. That was what we did. When Mike Tyson was on, we got the fight.
I think too when you look at boxers who have come to the UFC or UFC that, like Conor McGregor fighting Floyd, it scratched my back, I scratch yours, because I think if you were to get a boxer that goes to the UFC and destroys an actual mixed martial artist, their pay-per-views are going to go up if they go back to boxing, and you're going to get some eyes out there. That's the only way that you're going to get attention to boxing, because it's a dying sport, unfortunately.
Promotion, you look me in the eye and tell me promotion isn't important. Okay?
Right.
Muhammad Ali.
He promoted himself every second of every day.
The best.
But when was the last time boxing promoted a fighter other than Floyd Mayweather? Like, they don't promote their fighters. They don't. When was the last time you witnessed a boxer go on Good Morning America or the Today Show or do an actual entertaining press conference? It hasn't happened in years. It's just,
Yeah, it's weird.
Bingo.
But Terry, I mean, in my opinion, I think Dana White in the UFC has taken a lot of what Muhammad Ali did. Muhammad Ali made it a spectacle. Some of his press conferences, and even if he was your friend, Joe Frazier was deeply hurt by some of the things that Ali did to him. Called him a big gorilla.
Right.
You're dumb, Joe. And all those. I mean, that stuff. Where other guys today, now you hear that stuff and you're like, man, you're just trying to sell some tickets. Joe took that as a personal affront.
Right, and that's why it was such a great rivalry. And that's why Joe wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
And in fact, their first fight, I think Ali says the closest thing to death that he's ever been to.
Yeah.
So, but man, when you see that fight, Ali Frazier, you can hear the punches. I mean, just crazy. It wasn't because they had great microphones back then. It was because they were beating the shit out of each other.
That's exactly it. Yeah. I miss it. It's a day gone by, but I'm also cognizant enough, Terry. It's never going to come back. I just don't. I think boxing had its time, and
all right,
yep.
Wipe our hands up.
Right? I mean, I still enjoy it though. Right?
Unless the NFL goes out of business.
From one concussion-inducing thing to another concussion-inducing.
Then all those defensive ends will become
You brought
boxers.
up Strahan. Can you imagine Strahan? Like hearing you say Michael Strahan,
Right.
Michael Strahan with that length and that reach.
Right.
Ooh, he'd have been a hell of a heavyweight.
And then you got that mentality of I'm never gonna lose, because that's what you have to make in pro sports. Yeah, he would have been tough.
Do you remember Art? Did you know this story? There was a really good defensive end who played for the Dallas Cowboys named Ed Too Tall Jones that up and quit one year after the NFL season to become a boxer. Remember that whole thing, Terry?
Yeah, that didn't work out too well.
It didn't work out too well. They put a couple tomato cans in front of him, and you're thinking, all right, he's got a couple wins, and then he fought a real fighter, and he went back to football the next year.
That's exactly what's happening with Greg Hardy, who used to play for the Dallas Cowboys, and he's in the UFC, and he didn't realize that you can't use your asthma inhaler in between rounds. So, also he illegally needs someone to, but that's for a different... Listen, there's levels to it, and, you being a boxer and being a mixed martial artist are two totally different things. It's dead. I hate to say it. Like you've got fighters that are entertaining that can sell a show. But it's just not there anymore. It's
It's too bad.
Yeah.
Do you like it, Art?
There's certain fights like I always support. Anthony Durrell, Andre Durrell, like Flint natives and Detroit boxers. Tony Harrison. Like I'll watch his fights, but there's nothing that's bringing me to the table because people like Mayweather who could sell a fight, they're gone.
I've always felt like there's been a back and forth between the UFC fans and boxing fans. Like you're not allowed to like both of them.
Someone just commented and said that there's no way a boxer could beat a MMA fighter. There is a way. I mean, sure, it hasn't happened yet. Look at James Toney and Randy Couture, but it absolutely can happen. Like it's putting that, but that sells it. The only way that you're selling a boxing fight is if they come to the UFC, but then they have to come back to boxing too.
You know what you do at the UFC? Butterbean Esh.
Yeah.
Have you seen Butterbean? With his fat ass. He should go in there. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. To me, there's certain fighters that I will watch in boxing, but it's...
Do you know how a boxer can knock out a UFC guy? You get that Mike Tyson bob and weave where he comes from his legs, he catches you one time. I don't give a hell who you are. You're out.
Here's the last.
You're out.
Here's the last entertaining boxing fight that I watched was Fury and Anthony. Well, that hasn't happened yet. Sorry, Fury and Bronze Bomber. Like that to me was, man, these guys hate each other. Two big boys going at it. Fury and Joshua could very well do that. But you're talking about one fight.
Yeah.
So then it's entertaining for that one fight. Then what are we doing for the rest of the year? What are we doing? Like, you're going to wait around?
Well, to come full circle, Terry and I grew up in an era where we knew all these welterweights.
Right.
The average human being. Name one welterweight right now.
Right.
Name one.
Right.
Right? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, you don't know him.
These guys were household names when we were kids. Everybody
Household
knew who
name
these
and
guys
badasses, too.
were. Yeah.
You got to add that to it, too.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, hey, the perfect bracket payoff is here. Woodward Sports and Hall Financial want to pay off your mortgage. So go to our website and pre-register today. Hall Financial could pay off your house up to $500,000. That's $500K if you guess the perfect bracket. So make sure you go to woodwardsports.com, register now so you can get in the contest. Now, if you don't get a perfect bracket, we still have some awesome prizes for you. How about a PS5, a 65-inch TV, a Detroit-made Shinola watch from Bridge Street Exchange, a Top Golf gift card from Grow Green, and we even have a little something for last place. How about a brand new toilet? So make sure you get involved. You can brag to everybody, bracket guy, bracket gal. Go to woodwardsports.com and be a part of it.
And if you win this, I'll even talk to you. If you got a perfect bracket, I'll talk to you. Even though I don't like bracket guy, then I'll do this one square for you.
Boy, if that doesn't entice you, I don't know what will. We'll come back, wrap it up on a Monday morning. Always a pleasure to have Terry Foster in the house right here on Woodward Sports. So if you weren't aware of this, I really like barbecuing and I like smoking. And Terry Foster really likes to barbecue and really likes to smoke things. And Terry, we've been talking up your ribs. I can't wait to try them. I hope you can make it to my house April 17th. So do you have your go-to that you don't deviate from? You know exactly how to do your ribs and you're not going to deviate from it. Or are you deviate guy?
I'm always tweaking.
Okay.
Like I have a variety of rubs, and I'll try one rub or mix the two together, and then you just never know what you're going to come up with.
I have to throw this at you, and you're probably going to have the same reaction that I did until I tried it. One of my buddies, and I couldn't agree more. I have this Hungarian rub that I don't even know how I found it. But it's just great on ribs. It's the only thing I want to use it on. It just, for whatever reason, it does well with ribs. One of my buddies, whom I trust his opinion, told me, this is going to sound crazy, but I want you to try this. Peach chips. Peach chips.
I have not tried that.
I was like, dude, you're out your mind. I'm not even going to waste. I'm not going to disrespect my rack of ribs like that. And he said, we're going to work on the honor code with this. If you don't like this, I'll buy you 2 racks of ribs.
See, I would not have a problem experimenting with peach chips.
Okay.
I would say, okay.
Terry?
Different.
Terry, it was unbelievable. I'm not. Now, do I like my variety better? Do I like using my hickory chips better? I do, okay? There was a flavor to it. I don't even know how to describe it. It was a little fruity, but not a lot fruity. And I think barbecue people might understand, what are you talking about? It's a barbecue thing. It was there, but it wasn't there. And my family went, the girls were like, You need to make the ribs just like this from now on. Like, I love the way you do it, but there was something about this that I can't. Terry, it was unbelievable.
You need to open up your eyes, fella. Try different things. Peach chips, I wouldn't have hesitated. I would have said, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah. But at least, you know what? I could have been that guy, though. Oh, that sucked. No, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, but you thought about it.
I did think about it. Oh, I thought.
What is okay? I'm out of the loop. I don't even have a grill. Okay, I think I do, but it's my wife's, and I've used it like once to.
Well, you know what? You're not a real man.
I know I'm not. Don't joke me right now, Terry. Don't joke me right now.
I'm just
You're
being
bullying.
real with you.
You're bullying me.
If you don't have a grill, you're not a real man.
I have a grill and I burn hamburgers. Okay. Here's my thing. What is a peach chip? What is
All right,
that?
so there are different kinds of smokers. I don't know what kind of smoker you have, Terry. I have what's called a Traeger, where you put pellets in there, and I have a Masterbuilt, where you put chips in there.
Joe Rogan talks about Traeger, so I know Traeger.
Okay, and I love, and you know what? I think, in one man's opinion, Terry, if I'm doing wings, I put it on my Masterbuilt. If I'm doing ribs, I'm going to put it on my Masterbuilt from now on. Everything else goes on my Traeger.
So
like,
what
if I do something big on the Traeger, the Boston butt, the brisket, that goes on my Traeger.
What's the biggest difference? Correct me for my ignorance, okay? Between a Masterbuilt
Masterbuilt.
and a Traeger. What's the difference?
You can kind of control the smoke with the Masterbuilt, and it was suggested to me, Terry, pour more water in there. And put some more chips in there to create more of the smoke, thus getting the flavor of the chip. Art, I'm not joking. The peach smoked ribs, they were great.
Can you make me into a man? Forget playing catch with me, okay? I'll find another dad for that. Can you teach me? Can we do like a YouTube series? I know nothing about any of
Sean,
this.
you got to do it. I can't have a boy on this program. I need a man.
When
so
do you wanna
do
come
something
over?
about it.
I mean, we need
You
to
come
make it a
over
series.
you come over anytime.
Yeah.
Or if you plan to come over the 17th, I can show you the Cliff Notes version, because I'm going to be running around like a chicken with my head off trying to make food for everybody. But if you want to come over sometime and we can just have the chill in the backyard with a couple different smoke, it's the easiest.
I feel like what stops me from it is I've always heard like it's so expensive to barbecue. Correct me if I'm wrong. That it's you got to buy the perfect grill and the perfect setup and the perfect rubs.
Terry, I don't think so.
No, I mean they try to get your money, but I remember my neighbors used to make this great barbecue with a little hibachi. And that thing has to be cheap. I mean, you couldn't get any more than 2 steaks on there, but that food was so good. It was amazing. Now, the smoker, because I can't make my own smoke and dig in the ground and do stuff like that. I use the Traeger. And I'll admit, the first time I used the Traeger, I was so scared. This is not going to taste good. It's going to taste like electricity. But that smoke got in that meat, and it was so delicious.
How long do you think it would take to convert me into like a barbecue master?
Less than a day.
What?
Less than a day.
You don't know my cooking. I burn macaroni
Less
and
than a
cheese.
day.
No. You just you just have to remember, slow and long, brother. And I know you know that. You know slow and long.
No, that's why I have so many kids, because no, it wasn't slow. It was quick and it's
Low and slow.
Okay.
Low and slow. You know what the thing is? Like Art, like all jokes aside, it is as Terry said, when you do something and you cut into it and you see that smoke ring, there's something magical that happens to your body. I'm not joking. It's just like, and it's funny because as Terry said, here I'll explain to you. So the brisket years ago was like a throwaway piece.
Oh, the brisket's my favorite.
The poor folk got the brisket, right? And you know what they did? They perfected low and slow. And it turns that meat into what I think. I'm with you. That's probably my favorite. If I had to pick one,
that and the pork butt.
Yeah.
The pork butt was another throw out.
It's just a throw out.
Yeah, I'm getting grilled in the comments. Someone said, buy a George Foreman grill. The UFC don't have their own grills. That was good, Ben. I'll give you that one. That was
is
good.
true. Hey, George Foreman works.
Oh, I kill it on a George Foreman.
George works.
You know, if I bring a George Foreman April 17th, am I getting kicked out? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
you'll get
Keep the
laughed
Foreman
at.
at home?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. If you want, listen, we'll play catch, and then I'll take you over to the smoke.
Can we listen to Cats in the Cradle, too?
We can do that. And, it can be one of those, hey, son, would you like a beer?
Yeah.
But you don't drink.
No.
And, but we can do other.
I'll take that beer. Here's the great thing about when you're smoking meats. You get it started and get going. You can go grocery shopping. You can go to the mall.
What is the longest that you've left a piece of meat on the grill for?
23 hours.
What does that do? What did
It
23
was the most
hours?
delicious brisket that you could. I had a 24-pound Wagyu, Terry. 24 pounds. It was like this big. It looked like a flippin' steak. And state. It was like a steak. And I put that on there. I put it on there at 2:15. It was 23 hours. And when that thing finally hit 2:02, I mean, it was just tears were streaming down my face. And then you cut it open, and you're like, "Holy crap! I did it! I did it."
I haven't gone that long. I think the longest I've done is 8 hours because I do smaller meats because we have a smaller family, and then it's pretty much done after the first day.
Yeah. How long are your ribs?
5 hours.
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah.
Then if the wife, I got to teach my wife about smoke rings because I'll take the ribs off and she said, well, I see some red in here. I said, honey, that's a smoke ring. It's not raw. Eat it. And she said, oh, okay. And they said, oh, yeah, this is really good. It's really cooked. I said, I know. It's a smoke ring, not raw meat, girl. Learn it.
That's great. Have you ever had beef ribs? Have you done them on the beef?
I
short
have not
ribs?
done them.
Do the beef short ribs.
Okay.
Ooh. It's like 7-8 hours, but
Okay.
it's worth it.
Last time I had beef ribs was at Disney World, of all places. Because we went to a character dinner, and then afterwards, they give you two beef rib, you get one beef rib. And so all the kids are having a great time. They met the princesses and Goofy and all this stuff. And then at the end of it, I'm like, well, Dad is still hungry. So this didn't quite work out because I got one beef rib. It was good, but it was just one beef rib. That's not enough for a grown man.
I can't wait to grill with you. I'm so serious. That somebody else, I talked to Terry and I can see his eyes light up and everything. It makes me happy. And Art, we are going to play catch with you. We're going to do a triangle and Terry and I will both throw to you, okay?
Thank you.
And then Joik will tackle you.
Yo,
all right, listen. We'll see you tomorrow. Joik will be back tomorrow. Always a pleasure, Terry. We'll see you again Thursday.
I had fun. Yes, I'll be back next Monday.
Thursday morning. You're going to be back Thursday, right?
I'll be
with the
back
boys?
Thursday, yes.
Thursday morning, and then we'll be here next Monday as well. In the meantime, have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.